biotechnology is changing the feed additive and pig farming now, such as in traditional feed formulations, the use of enzymes focused on digestive enzymes such as phytase, long-starchy polysaccharide enzymes, amylase, and proteinase. However, now in China, some special functional enzymes have been used. One of these is glucose oxidase, which consume oxygen and regulates intestinal health. This this enzyme has been widely used after long AGP in China in 2020. This is some new important new technology.
Hi, welcome to our latest edition of Swine Podcast. I'm Jerry Purvis, your host. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Nicole Zhou. Dr. Zhou has been currently a CEO at Wuhan Sunhy Biological Co. She has a Ph.D. from Wuhan University. She's had 12 invention patents. She's got a pretty impressive resume, so it might take a while. 10 scientific articles, and she's published 44 published papers. Dr. Nicole, welcome to our podcast today.
Thank you.
If you would, just take a few minutes for our audience and tell us a little bit about your role and how you've gotten to where you are in your career today.
Okay. So I have been working in Wuhan Sunhy Biology Company for about 20 years. And it's my first job, and I think it will be my last job. And I used to be CTO, responsible for R&D for about 18 years. I just became CEO for about 2 or 3 years, but I like this role.
So how has that role changed from the time you started to CEO? What has been your responsibility changes?
Actually, when I was responsible for R&D, I just focus on the thing. But when I become CEO, I should focus on thing and people.
Yeah, it's a big change. So you're more of a manager now over the company, more managerial roles than before. You were doing a lot of the research. You were actually involved in a lot of the research with your company.
Yeah.
So very, very good. So let's dive into a little bit. Appreciate you being on the call today, and wanted to get some thoughts, on the Chinese feed industry and get your perspective. Can you kind of provide just an overview of the Chinese feed industry, how that's changed and where it is today?
I have been working in this industry for 20 years, and during last 2 decades, it has changed so much. The most important thing is that the increasing consolidation, the number of the feed companies decreased from 16,000 to around 6,000. Furthermore, 7 companies such as New Hope, Haida, Muyuan, Wens, etc., they covered 40% of the market share. This transformation changed the business logic of the entire industry.
Sunhy is a professional solution provider for enzymes, probiotics, and functional additives. We offer customized formulas to target nutritional issues in livestock and maximize the utility of animal feed. Find us at sunhy.com, spelled Sunhy, for more information.
So, Dr. Zhou, as you've had this consolidation within in China with smaller, now you got less feed mills but bigger feed mills. What's been the driving force for that change that you've seen?
Because you know that China is a big market, and during the last 20 years, there are lots of fluctuation in the market, and small companies can't survive during this period, and only bigger and bigger companies can survive.
Yeah, and that's kind of trends we've seen here, even in the U.S. Now there's smaller companies, but they've gotten bigger. So we've got kind of the same trend here that you've seen there. So as the growth of the Chinese feed industry, what are you seeing in technology in your feed mills now that you didn't have before?
Yeah, I think that during the last 3 decades, China's feed industry have achieved automated production, but now we are currently experiencing the area of robotic operation and Internet of Things integration, go by IoT integration and artificial intelligence. For example, more and more companies are beginning to use robot to reduce labor cost and to enhance the worker safety. And at the same time, an increasing number of farming enterprises, feed companies, and food companies are trying IoT integration, connecting upstream and downstream of the industrial chain to improve the efficiency of the whole chain. And furthermore, due to the significant fluctuation I just mentioned before in China's market in recent years, an increasing number of companies are turning their attention to AI and machine learning for precise assessment of raw materials, nutrition, value, cost, and forecasting of the market trends. And as I talked about, only big company can do this. Small company cannot do this. That's why they can't survive.
So that's a good point. So your efficiency's gotten better as you've got just newer meals, new technology. You're able to be more efficient with your production. Talk a little bit about. I know we've talked before about the ingredients that you're utilizing today. How has that changed?
Nowadays, we are facing the challenge of new raw materials. Over the last 30 years, China relying on the classic corn soybean meal uh, feed combination, while giving China's big size, an over reliance on corn or reliance on soybean meal is not good news for China and also for the world. Therefore, taking advantages of local raw materials is very important. And nowadays, many Chinese companies have made corn-free diets, soybean meal-free diets reality. And we think this experience may serve as a reference for the global market. And also, we are facing the opportunity of some new technology over the past 3 decades, cross technology such as biotechnology, engineering technology, impact on the feed industry deeply. For example, the utilization of enzyme and DFM, directed feed microbes, amino acid, among other, have led to increasingly diverse formulation. On the other hand, some technologies such as post-liquid spraying, post-vacuum spraying, and liquid bio pretreatment have further enhanced production quality and efficiency.
So China being a big importer in the past of a lot of ingredients that you've got to bring in, they're more expensive. Soybean meal, you got to bring that in. Here in the U.S., we're lucky. We've got cheap sources of corn and soybean meal. So you've kind of moved the needle a little bit to utilizing more local ingredients that you can find.
Yes.
And you're also able to take those ingredients that maybe have anti-nutrient factors that through the use of enzymes and probiotics, be able to get the value for those ingredients.
Yeah.
And so that's been a plus, I'm sure, on formulation. And now that often brings some some difficulties in valuing these ingredients. How have you been able to value and for the formulators value those ingredients? What are some technology you're using?
Nowadays, we use some new technologies such as AI to analyze big data. You know that maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we don't need to think about these questions because nutritionists just need to handle quite few raw materials. The nutritional value were fixed and the price was stable. But nowadays, in China, Chinese nutritionists need to handle vast amount of information, such as different raw materials, their nutritional variations, and the price fluctuations. Therefore, it's time to use AI to analyze this big data. And now our company can provide solutions such as if our customers are a feed company give us the NIR result of their raw materials, we can provide a nutritional value based on our biomimetic digestion test and metabolic assessment by this data. And then using AI prediction, we can help our customers to choose the suitable raw materials based on the price and the nutritional value.
Yeah. So a lot of these products you're able to utilize now have been able to reduce some of the. We'll get into another topic. Reduce some of the waste streams. And how does that? You're using products probably that were ended up going in landfills or were thrown away. So now, how does that work as far as sustainability?
Yeah, sustainability, sustainable development is an important issue that cannot be avoided by any country or any company. Same in China, and we are seeking for sustainable development in different way. First, as mentioned before, diversity of raw materials. We will choose some sustainable and environmentally friendly raw materials, especially some local raw materials, because it can reduce the transportation cost and it can reduce the carbon emissions. And secondly, we are trying to reduce the waste. Many waste from the industry chain, such as some plant waste, some slaughtering waste, by biological pretreatment, which can reduce the anti-nutritional factors of this waste and enhance the nutritional value. And these materials can be applied in feed. And we also trying to reduce emissions because the discharge of nutrients such as nitrogen, such as phosphorus, is not only a huge waste but also impose pressure on the environment. Therefore, the use of some biotechnologies such as enzymes can improve the digestion and absorption and reduce the emission. And nowadays in China, more and more companies are promoting circular economy. We're trying to turn the industry chain into a closed loop, which is also an effective strategy.
So just kind of to summarize, you're utilizing local ingredients now that you weren't using, and that's reduced the cost of your diets, your feed. But you're also reducing the waste, which is making it more sustainable.
Yeah.
And you've got less environmental issues and reducing the carbon footprint. So it's a win-win. You've decreased feed costs and utilized ingredients that weren't being used, and all this is through, and you're improving the environment and emissions. And through this is through the biotechnology that you mentioned, like enzymes. What are some of the other products that you're looking at or utilizing?
Yeah, enzymes, probiotics, and so on.
What do you think is the next? How are you going to go from here? You made this advancement. What do you think is the next step? As a CEO, what do you think is going to drive your next? What are you going to be looking at next?
It's a big question.
Yes, yeah, it's
Try to facing the challenge and grab the opportunity.
So yeah, you're just going to keep advancing what you're doing and trying to get even better and better at understanding and getting more value out of these ingredients through these technologies.
Yeah.
And how do you think that's going to affect the global markets now? Now, of course, China is a big importer of a lot of these products. How is that going to affect these global markets, you think?
It's also a big question because it's true that Chinese import a lot of raw materials globally. But from the opinion of mine, if we can keep the balance of the benefit of Chinese market and the global market, to use some raw materials globally is a good, but we shouldn't to rely on single raw materials. We should have the ability to change from one to another when facing different challenges.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We've got to keep getting more sustainable. We've got more people on this planet. We've got more animals, and the better we can feed those, we're going to have to do that because we've got to increase our food production.
Yeah,
and we got to feed. We've got a challenge to feed the world, and we've got to improve and get better, more efficient uses of these resources that we have. These feed additives that we've been talking about, these biotechnologies that you mentioned, been working with, how are these biotechnologies going to impact the formulation and how we are able to utilize some of these ingredients?
Biotechnology is changing the feed additive and pig farming now, such as in traditional feed formulations, the use of enzyme focused on digestive enzymes such as phytase, long-starchy polysaccharide enzymes, amylase, and proteinase. However, now in China, some special functional enzymes have been used. One of these is glucose oxidase, which consume oxygen and regulates intestinal health. This enzyme has been widely used after long AGP in China in 2020. This is some new important new technology, and also in the last 2 years or maybe 3 years, China has begun to combine the European liquid feed technology with domestic raw material bio-pretreatment technology. This has led to the application of liquid bio-fermented feed in pig farming. I think it will influence the technique, the model of the swine and the feed.
So tell me a little something about this pre-treatment this liquid pre-treatment that you've adopted. Is that somewhat you're fermenting some of these byproducts and being able to change? How does these products you have, how do they work in a liquid system that you mentioned?
Okay, so in European market, there was liquid feed technology. They use liquid feed, but they don't use bio pretreatment liquid feed. Nowadays in China, many companies find that there are lots of local raw materials, and when bio-pretreatment it, and then using it in liquid feed, it can improve the production efficiency and reduce the cost. This is a new trend in China.
Yeah. So how does this, maybe to our audience that doesn't really understand a lot of this pre-treatment, what are the advantages when you can pre-treat ingredients with enzymes and probiotics?
Yeah, with enzymes and probiotics in liquid feed, and to improve the digestibility, to reduce the anti-nutritional factors.
So you're taking a raw ingredient that has little value to be fed to an animal, and you're increasing the digestibility, the value of that ingredient, and so you can actually utilize that in some of your diets.
Yeah.
What have you just give us maybe an example of how of some byproducts that you have available that you can pre-treat and increase the digestibility?
Such as the corn straw. Swine cannot eat corn straw, but with the process of bio-pretreatment, we can turn it into sugar, and it can provide energy to swine.
Yeah. What kind of an uplift in energy have you seen when you pre-treat these ingredients, these raw ingredients that were before the animal, the swine can't digest all this fiber? What changes in that? What makes that ingredient more digestible?
Because we add enzymes into this straw, and enzymes decrease the structure of the cell wall into sugar, and then swine can use sugar.
So you're taking a fiber source that the animal couldn't utilize, and now you're making it available.
Yeah.
So he could capture energy out of that.
Yeah.
Now you made a good point there. So you've actually been able to formulate without corn and soybean meal. What are some of the ingredients now that you're using? What are you replacing corn and soybean meal with?
Some byproducts.
And these byproducts are typically coming from the food industry. Is that where those byproducts?
Yeah, the food industry, also the husbandry industry.
As you're mentioning a lot of these byproducts, your country, China, is in a deficit. You can't grow all the grain. You got to import all these products, and they're very expensive to import in. And so you're utilizing a lot of these ingredients. It's just amazing that you were able to formulate diets. How do the pigs perform on these diets?
After the test by some key account in China, as I mentioned before, WAMS or New Hope, they can replace 100% of the corn, but they can't replace 100% of the soybean meal.
Yeah. So what are you able to? So you're still got to use some soybean meal, but you're able to get. I guess you're able to get some of the amino acids out of these proteins that you're using.
Yeah.
What are some of the protein? What protein sources are you utilizing?
Pumpkin meal, after being fermented pumpkin meal, and some sunflower meal, also fermented, and some other meals in China, and also by bio-pretreatment.
Yeah. So this pre-treatment that you're doing ingredients, is that something they do at the feed mills, or do you do that? Is that something that's done before and then they ship the product? It's ready to go at the feed mill.
Different company will choose different ways. Some company will pre-treat the raw materials, some single raw materials. Some company will choose to pre-treat 2 or 3 raw materials, but some company choose to pre-treat all the feed meal.
So you're not just necessarily doing the whole ingredients. You're formulating, you're manufacturing the diets, and they're allowed to ferment. That's where you're adding the liquid.
Yeah.
And you're getting fermentation.
Yeah. We help different companies in different ways.
So what do you think you're able to save, reduce the feed cost with this treatment?
It depends on the cost of some import raw materials, especially when the soybean meal, the price of soybean meal is very high. It can save a lot of cost. But when nowadays the price of soybean meal go down, it can save just a little.
Yeah, so it's more, maybe not. It depends on the price of soybean meal and what you're able to save.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Have you been able to get the same performance with the animals on these new diets with lower traditional, energy protein sources?
Maybe the performance will be lower, but the cost, the FCR or the cost of the products may be the same.
So you're getting about the same efficiency with these new technologies using byproducts that you were getting when you were just using corn and soy diets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, that's what I think everybody's trying to here over the world is trying to utilize some of these waste streams that we have and reduce our dependence on corn and soy, which we know soy. Now the biodiesel, there's a lot more production, and we really got a limited amount of resources, here in the world. Even in the U.S., if you have a drought, we have where our yield 1 year is terrible. It really influences your feed costs when your commodity prices are really high. So do you think this is something that's going to be sustainable? That people are going to just it depend on soybean meal? How the price of your commodities. That's something that you think year after year these diets will make sense.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're all going. The trend is to try to get more out of less, and get more energy out of the ingredients we have. Have you looked at using what are these enzymes? If you put enzymes in a corn soy diet, just thinking about the U.S. where we've got cheap corn and soy, does this make sense? Even maybe something we should look at here is utilizing more of these technologies, the enzymes, DFMs. Do you think that even makes sense in a corn soy where you're predominantly your substrates are corn and soy?
Okay, good questions. If we have no other choice beyond corn or soybean meal, why we use enzymes? Because the digestibility of corn or soybean meal is not 100%. So when we supplement enzymes into the classic corn soybean meal, we can increase the digestibility of this feed by about 3 to 5%. That means we can improve the production efficiency. We can reduce the emission. And that's why we use enzymes in classic corn soybean meal. And another thing we should mention that some enzymes are not used for just improving the digestibility. We use some special functional enzymes to keep the intestinal health.
Right. So there is some advantages. Maybe, of course, if we improve the intestinal health, we improve that animal's ability to digest and absorb these nutrients. So there could be some benefits even beyond a raw product that just doesn't have a lot of digestibility or nutrients availability. That's very good. Well, so we're coming to the end of our podcast here, and we always ask our guests 3 questions.
It's time for our famous 3. We have a time and labor-saving product for you. AgriSlats by Healthy Farms is your solution. No more lugging jugs around the barn every month. With AgriSlats, you simply drop the slat through the floor twice a year, and it works to break down solids, reduces crusting and forming. To learn more, visit myhealthyfarms.com.
First question is, what resources do you use, Nicole, on a daily basis? What's your favorite resource, book or publication?
Actually, we use CNKI, CNKI, and also and Spurlink, and nowadays ChatGPT.
Very good resources. Second, what is if thinking about your career, who was the most influential person on your career? Was your parents professor? Or?
I think my boss changed me a lot.
Okay. So he talked you into being to moving up in your company.
He changed me from CTO to CEO.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then our last question: what person influenced you to get you interested in this field?
Actually, a lot of people in this industry. Some of them are my customers. Some of them are my friends, and they changed me a lot. They told me that this career is quite interesting. It's deserve your life to learning in this industry to improve yourself.
Very good, very good. Well, we've come to the end, and just want to thank you for being on the podcast today. And I think summarizing, we both, all of us, have products that it's in our best interest as a global, partners, that we're all looking at reducing our increasing our sustainability and being able to use some of these products that we have available to us that are cheap, and that we can pass that cost on to our customers. And so it's a grand thought and a grand initiative, I think, that we're able to do 2 things. We're able to provide food that's cheaper, and we're able to improve environmentally, our footprint. So very good. Appreciate you being on our podcast today.
Thank you so much.